Are you ready?
A Shot of Wrestling, episode 264, and away we go.
Wait till get a shot, boy. Is that the best that you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot. Oh, so take a shot. Oh, yeah. I'm a street breaker. I'm a heartbreaker. This is my yard. I'm a Ramon Razor. Rick Flair, Nature Boy, about to seek and destroy. It's an SOW. Let me hear you make noise. Take a shot, boy. Is that the best that you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 264 of Shot of Wrestling. As you can hear, this is not Michael J. Putty. So you know this show's already off to a great start. It is me, your favorite actor, the Hollywood Assassin March 1. By the way, Michael J. Putty, that's an intro. And ladies and gentlemen, you know me being the showman and all, I wanted to keep it nice and quiet as far as who my guest host is going to be today. He is a man that I know is probably one of the best referees I've seen in person. He was a BWF, the lead official over there. He does a podcast now. As I understand, he's doing commentary now. So he is all over the place. He's up to his game. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Alfonz Stevens. My man, what is up?
It's good. It's good to be here. It's been a long time, Mr. Schwain, since you and I have conversed and been in the same place. Although this is virtual, but you know,
it is virtual. So you know, we're going back to the last year and a half that we've been doing this show, doing virtually here, because I do not have the equipment that Michael J. Putty has, but here we are. Good to see you though, even though this is virtually. So my man, we have a lot to catch up on. We've touched base a little bit over the DMs.
Yeah.
I have to ask, how are you feeling? Because for those that don't know, Alfonz, you were one of the first people that I knew to get COVID. And you got it pretty bad, pretty early.
Yep, I got it at the height of the pandemic when everything was severe. As with anybody who recovers from something traumatic, I have my good days and I have my bad days. But, you know, I try to take things one day at a time, get used to my new normal, because there's certain side effects that even though I'm recovered that COVID left me with that are taking way too long to get rid of.
What type of side effects is that? Because I've heard that, like, you know, side effects can last quite some time. So what is that exactly? If you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my lungs are shot. That's why I'm no longer reffing.
Damn.
Yeah, went to the commentary table because there are a number of things that and it's crazy because everybody's different. Some people get it and they just recover like nothing ever happened. Some people are down for the count permanently if not dead. So
it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. It's what a lot of people don't seem to understand here. And from the way I took it with you and how you got it, it seems like you were taking it pretty seriously. You were doing everything right, and next thing you know, it was a relative.
Yeah, it was my dad. My dad ended up getting it, and then I was around him. And you know, the way that virus works, you know, you could contract it and not have symptoms for like up to a week. Mm-hmm. So that's how it was. And so my lungs are like shot right now. So even things like, you know, going for a walk, depending on the distance I walk, even that stuff is tough. So I'm just a year and a half later still trying to get used to everything.
That is wild to me, man. That is absolutely wild. And you know, for those that don't know, I mean, you know, especially to be a lead official, the head referee over there, I mean, it's not like you're no slouch. People think referees, you could be in any type of shape. You know, you have to be pretty active. You're on your feet. You know, so it's people are like, oh, you know, it only affects like, you know, people are not healthy, yada whatever. Like, no, dude, you're pretty healthy.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget referees' jobs are more excruciating because we're out there sometimes 3, 4, sometimes even 5 times in one show.
Exactly, taking bumps sometimes even.
Yeah, so your average indie match, especially in BWF, is like what, 6 to 8 minutes. Main event might be 10 to 12. So imagine eight times
on paper. Sometimes it goes over.
Yeah, sometimes it does go over, but 4 8-minute matches. That's already over a half an hour, And then as the senior, 9 times out of 10, I get the main. So, you know, that's like a good 45 minutes to an hour reffing. A lot of people forget about that and overlook that. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not the most fit guy in the world, but I've had the footage speaks for itself.
Exactly. And there's plenty of footage out there for that. BWF, Bronx Wrestling Federation on YouTube. Shout out to them. Now, you probably hear a whole bunch of stuff from, like, you know, going online, or you probably hear out and about like, you know, the conflicting reports about COVID and how people think about it. You know, being a survivor yourself from it, I mean, how does that affect you when you hear stuff like that?
I get kind of upset because like I'm on Facebook because I'm home, I don't work, so I spend most of my day either gaming or watching old wrestling or being on Facebook the majority of the time. And I see some comments, and it's interesting because some people take it super seriously, and then others are just like, you know, oh, it's a hoax, oh, it's propaganda, oh, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Just a whole bunch of crazy, ignorant stuff. And, you know, it's not like certain illnesses where it's in one part of the world. It's all over the world. Millions of people have died from it. I don't think we've ever seen a situation where, you know, you walk outside and every single business is closed.
Right.
That shut down in and of itself. I think that's a once in a lifetime thing. I don't think anything like that will happen again. Hopefully not.
I hope to God not in my lifetime. Like, you know, I mean, like, listen, not for nothing. What, every 100 years, something like that, it's been going on. Like the Spanish flu, like we had a similar case. I actually read something interesting in the New York Times where it was actually very, very similar to what's going on even today, even with the whole mask debate. You know, people are going back and forth at each other for 2 years. So, I mean, like, I guess we haven't really evolved that much.
I've never, and I'll tell you this, I've never I've never seen it where I've ordered food and the person drops the food at the door, doesn't ring the doorbell, and then DoorDash sends you a notification with the picture of the food at the door, saying that your food has been delivered. So it's all weird. It's still weird to me. Even wearing masks, like I'm a big pro mask guy, but even now, like masks, like are still weird to me. Like I'll go to the grocery store and like hop out the car like it's nothing, and then I'm like, oh wait a minute, my mask, and have to end up going back.
Do you still wear your mask even though like the restrictions have been lifted for a bit?
Yeah.
I can't blame you.
The thing is, I don't want to take a chance to revisit what I went through.
Yeah.
I still think about it quite often. So I'm like, you know, I don't want to deal with that again.
Ah, shit, man. I am so sorry. But yet I am glad you're here with us. I know it was,
thank you.
It was touch and go for a bit there. I was really concerned. All my prayers over to you, my man. So I'm glad you're here with us. Switching gears just a little bit here. So, you know, very sad to hear about the whole refereeing career here. But I am at the same time glad that you found a way to transition and still stay in the world of professional wrestling, because I know you love it. How's that transition been over to commentary, man? Like, from one commentator to another?
It's difficult because on one hand, yeah, you're calling the action, and the plan was never for me to be a commentator. So funny story. I guess we'll peel back the curtain. I just showed up to a show out of the blue once. Shout out to TJ Marconi because
much love to TJ Marconi over here.
Yeah, TJ actually told me to come to a show. It is a show that I was also the head ref at another promotion, IWA, out in Nutley, New Jersey.
Got it.
And shout out to the owner, Frank, too. Pretty cool guy. They both messaged me and were like, hey, we want you to come to the show. And I'm like, I can't ref. And they're like, oh, we don't care that you can't ref. Just come to the show. So I go to the show, standing around, and I'm just happy to be there because that was the first time I've been to a show since, you know, since March 7th, 2020, which was the last BWF show. So
yeah, remember that very clear.
yeah. I get to the show. I see all these familiar faces, JD Alpha, Too Good, all these guys, and everybody's just like happy to see me. And I didn't plan on doing anything. I just sat down, copped a seat. I told TJ, I was like, hey, if you need me to help you in any which way, you just let me know, and I'll be glad to do what I can do within my limits of limitations.
Of course.
About an hour before the show, comes up to me. He's like, you want to do commentary? And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So, because Shane Fair, shout outs to him too. He was supposed to do commentary and ring announcing, and from what I was told, he willingly bowed out to give me that seat. So
yeah, I mean, to do both at the same time, that's got to be crazy. And you know, I know Shane's very damn good at what he does, and I think he wants to focus on one thing rather than going all over the place. Because yeah, commentary, you're really there. You know, and ring announcing the same thing. So it's crazy. So are you doing play-by-play or you're doing color?
Play-by-play. And
you're in the hot seat.
Yeah, so I got paired up with Nimrod, which was an experience. And,
it's always an experience with Nimrod.
But it's a fun experience though, because I'm like, you know, everybody knows me as the ref, the no-nonsense guy. And then here's like the party animal sitting next to me. And you know, he's being a complete jerk, and I'm trying to you know, play the straight and narrow. So it worked out.
If Putty was here right now, he'd share your pain probably. He probably would say the same thing about me on color.
Hey, I've heard you guys' commentary. You give that man a hard time.
It's all in good fun.
Oh, of course. But yeah, so Nimrod and I have done 2 shows. The next show is on August 7th. Okay. So and yeah, I'm just trying to branch out, you know, and just try to see where it'll take me. I personally think I still have some work to do, but some people have said I'm a natural.
Okay.
So yeah, it remains to be seen. But I'm always my toughest critic. Even when I was a ref, I would like watch the footage back and be like, "Damn, why did I do that?" Or
but you know,
I should have been there.
I think that's awesome because that keeps you on top of your game no matter what. Like, listen, I've been told I've been good at many things before, but you know, I never believe it. Again, like you, I'm my toughest critic. I always just want to get better and better and better. Even if you're the best in the world, you should always still like work on your craft to get better, because if you remain complacent, someone's going to pass you by.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you're much of a sports guy, but
all the way.
Troy Aikman, when he played for the Cowboys, he had this famous quote when he was in training camp one year, and he was like, "Don't give me an A+ for a grade. I always want room for improvement."
Hell yeah.
So that's like the kind of motto I live by. Like, if I send somebody footage, don't tell me what I did good. Just focus on the negative so I can improve it.
Although I do want to hear what I did good. I don't necessarily want to hear, hey, good job, great job, whatever. No. Tell me what I did good so I can work on that as well. Like, you know, keep that what I'm doing. But yeah, definitely tell me what I did bad, or tell me what I can improve on, because yeah, you just want to knock it out of the park. Always want to be better, man. So I'm glad you're enjoying it though.
I love it. And the funny thing is, of course, the first time I did it, I just got thrown in the seat. I was completely unprepared.
Same.
Luckily enough for me, I had refed this place for so long that I knew all the storylines. I knew everybody that was working the matches. So it's not like I was like a deer in the headlights.
Right.
But now, previously, I used to study footage of referees. Now what I do, my tape study is like completely different. Like, I just turn on old wrestling. I either like not pay attention to the TV or close my eyes and just listen. And I'm taking cues now. So
do you ever watch a match? Because we were told to do this at one point, to you just watch a match, put it on mute, especially with something you've never seen before, and just call the match.
Yeah, I've done that as well.
A lot of fun.
And the funny thing is, I have experience. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I have experience with broadcasting baseball from my collegiate days.
Oh, boom. Perfect fit.
So I relied on my baseball broadcasting pedigree from like 10 years ago.
Bringing it back, man. Bringing it back.
Yeah, so especially with play-by-play. If they ask me to do color, I might be the worst choice, but play-by-play, I can always.
Hey, you need someone for color. You know I could do that work.
Oh no, absolutely. I might have to write Putty and ask him for advice on how to deal with you.
Hey, well, this is practice right now, right? I mean, like, I'm pretty easy right now.
In an interview sense, yeah, but go on.
Fair enough. Well, Alfonz, I think it's time that we transition over to some wrestling news. What do you think?
Sure, let's talk about it.
All right.
It's time for In the News with Michael J. Putty and Mark Schwab.
All right, in the news. So there seems to be a little bit of a roster swap going on here with NXT and Raw. As we saw in NXT, Mandy Rose made a couple of appearances throughout the show. it appears that she's going to be back on the yellow and black roster for good, and Aliyah is going to be heading to Raw. So there's a little bit of a trade going on over there. What do you make of this? Is this a good move for Raw? Is this a good move for NXT? Like, who's the winner here in this trade?
It's rough because clearly Mandy Rose was an established star for a couple of years.
Totally.
When she first came up with Sonya Deville and Paige in that whole Absolution deal. When I heard Aliyah got sent to Raw, it made me scratch my head because I haven't heard any convincing promos from her throughout the years that she was in NXT. For the majority of her time in NXT, she had Robert Stone with her, so she had a mouthpiece for her. So it's just weird. Like, how is she going to factor into – I don't know how they're going to factor into the plans, you know?
So apparently, WWE officials, they'll have the figureheads over there. They've been at NXT the last few weeks doing some scouting, if you will, to see.
Yeah, because they want to replenish the roster. Yeah.
Right. They need to replenish that roster. We already saw it so far last week with the call-ups of Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart.
Yep.
They got a little bit of a lukewarm reaction SmackDown today. So that was actually pretty curious.
Well. To cut you off, right? I'm sorry to cut you off right there.
No, go for it, please. Something
that I have noticed is that the casual fan does not watch NXT.
They don't, and I forgot about that until today.
And it's crazy because I have friends who are like diehard WWE fans, but if it's not Raw, SmackDown, or the pay-per-view, they don't watch. So they don't watch 205 Live. They don't watch NXT.
And their ratings reflect that. I mean, look at NXT. They've been hovering around 600, 700 for months.
Yeah. So it's crazy because they're going to bring these stars up. I don't even think Karrion Kross would get a reaction in front of a live audience.
Oh, I don't know about that. Karrion Kross.
Because also the diehard WWE fans, they're like Vince in a way. They don't watch anything that's not WWE. I can't tell you the amount of conversations that I've had. I vividly remember this when AJ Styles wrestled Daniel Bryan for the first time in WWE. And so many people were so hyped for it. And I'm like, it happened already. Over a decade ago, it happened already. So I was just like, or like when AJ Styles and Samoa Joe fought for each other for the first time.
Oh my God, they wrestled so many times before.
And I'm like, this has happened already. Or even the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. This is, if you follow Ring of Honor, it happened already. So it's
Ring of Honor,
Ring
of Honor, I think is a little different. I think there's not a big audience for Ring of Honor by any means.
Right.
I don't know,
But that's my concern because and if you look at a lot of the NXT call-ups over the years, very few of them get huge success when they get to either Raw or SmackDown.
Well, now we're talking about a different story. Now we're talking about creative probably here.
Well, not even creative is because you trot somebody out there and the casual fan doesn't know them. How can you expect the crowd to either go yay or nay?
I still think that's a creative problem. And here's why. Remember back in the day with the vignettes.
Mm-hmm.
Or even after the vignettes, they would do these big squash matches after a while. Tell the story, build it up, build the hype, let the fans be impressed. Now, I think WWE has this arrogance about them that they just assume, these people are, even if they were in NXT. And then it's funny because when they bring them to NXT, they kind of drop. They do some sort of change of the name. They drop the first name or the last name. They change the music anyway. So they're already kind of repackaging the person.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. So that's why I do blame creative for that.
Right. But I still feel the fans play a part in it. Now, here's my thing. Back in the day when WWE Network, when NXT was on the network and you didn't watch NXT, because not everybody has the network. So, okay, I'll give you that. But NXT is on USA now, the same channel that Raw is on. You mean to tell me the day of the week is a deterrent to not watch?
Right, and now NXT is unopposed.
Yep, no AEW on the other channel,
or even Impact.
Nope, and it's crazy because there's literally wrestling every day of the week now. Mondays are Raw, Tuesdays are NXT, Wednesdays are AEW.
Might be a little oversaturated. But if you're diehard, this is a great time to be a wrestling fan. There's just so much going on. You have the coming back in full force. A lot's going on here. But yeah, I mean, going back to the main point here with Aliyah, head scratcher. Curious about to see how she's going to play out there, especially with so many stars on that show. It was a 3-hour show. They didn't necessarily utilize everyone. Mandy Rose, though, I mean, it's just so alarming because she was tagging with Dana Brooke, right? It seems
I feel bad for Dana Brooke of all people because they just had a segment Monday,
right,
where they're chasing Natalya and Tamina. So.
Right, and what's the move here? Is this Mandy Rose's call? Is this creative's call? Do they think Mandy Rose has enough star power to bring some sort of eyes to NXT? Granted, with all these call-ups about to happen from NXT to the main roster, they need to replenish that somehow, some way. Mandy Rose, though, is a head-scratcher because she's obviously involved in the storyline.
Well, it could be an example, just like how when Finn Balor went back to NXT, it could just be one of those instances of we gotta resuscitate this person's career or give this person's career a little kick in the rear. Because now look, Finn Balor's back on SmackDown, so maybe this is a
great pop, by the way.
Yeah, great pop. So maybe this is a 6-month thing for Mandy Rose.
Maybe. It's just, another crappy thing about this before I move on is this was like the last true tag team in the women's division that they're breaking up.
I feel like the WWE women's tag division is just a hodgepodge of thrown together teams with no real rhyme or reasoning. Like they just throw people together, which I've never been a fan of.
It sucks. Obviously, in the whole tag team division, even the men's side, who is in flux. I mean, we just saw Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode have like 5 seconds of fame catcalling Bianca Belair on SmackDown. They're a damn good team. And vets, no less. Yeah. This is obviously what they think of the tag team division, men and women's. But it's why even like the whole thing is, the men's tag team division has been around forever. The women's tag team division is fairly new. Like you launched these belts within like the last couple of years.
2 years, yeah.
And already it's just like, please go away.
It's like the women's tag divisions. Those are championships that are just around. Like they don't really. I don't think Vince really cares who he gives them to, who he puts them on. And if they were to go away tomorrow magically, he wouldn't even bat an eye.
I don't think anyone would bat an eye. Honestly, I think the best thing they could possibly do is put it away and eventually come back with a women's mid-card title. I think that's the best thing they could possibly do right now because it's just this makes no sense. Moving on, though, looks like Impact is the favorite landing spot for Buddy Murphy, who's still a free agent. I think his 30-day clause or 90-day clause coming up to an end soon. There are reports that Impact is making a major push for Buddy Murphy. Is this a good landing spot for him?
My honest opinion, I would rather see him in Ring of Honor.
Ooh, Ring of Honor. Okay. Why?
I'm thinking about their roster and the matches he could possibly have. I wouldn't want him to go to AEW only because AEW lately has been ex-WWE star crazy. Like they went and scooped Andrade. They went and scooped Malachi Black now. They'll even get ex-WWE guys who they pay to never wrestle like Mark Henry. I can't see Mark Henry ever lacing up a pair of boots ever again. So
you know what though? I mean, this just happens in general though. AEW is a newer company. Eventually it's going to happen where AEW starts going to jump ship to WWE. It's going to happen. And then people are going to be saying the same thing about WWE.
But I feel like if an AEW guy were to leave and go to WWE, actually it happened. The first time it happened. I don't know if you're aware, B. Priestley is in NXT UK now. So
that's right.
She just made the jump. So if anybody else from there were to go to WWE, they're not going to the main roster anytime soon. They're probably going to get repackaged, different name. Like B. Priestley's not B. Priestley anymore. So
no.
So they're going to get a different name, probably different gimmick. Whereas I look at AEW like they're using a WCW formula, to try to get more recognition. Like they just sold out the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium show.
Yeah,
and I think like if they want to go into like bigger venues and bigger markets, they're going to need that star power. Like with WCW, they went and got Savage, Hogan, even all the way down to Gene Okerlund. So anybody with a name.
It's working.
Yeah.
They cracked $1 million for Fyter Fest.
Yeah. So,
they're getting closer and closer to being at Raw ratings.
Yep. And as far as Buddy Murphy goes, when I think of that Ring of Honor roster, if he were to go up against Roosh or Bandito or even Dragon Lee or PJ Black or I even think him and Jonathan Gresham in a Pure Rules match would like blow everybody's mind. So I could see him gelling very well with that roster. Now,
you're an ROH guy, I take it?
They're my second favorite company that's around right now.
All right. Okay.
If I tell you my first, if I tell you my first, you probably look at me like I'm crazy.
All right, give it to me. Give it to me.
I watch NWA Power on Fight every week.
Yeah, I'm not going to call you crazy. I think NWA Power is great. So you clearly a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I watch everything.
You watch everything. So, all right, for the people that are listening, I don't think a lot of people do watch ROH. I don't think they get enough credit right now. Buddy Murphy, obviously, I think that would be a good choice. But at the same time, ROH, they don't have the budget.
They don't. They also don't have the TV deal. You have to know what channel to watch Ring of Honor on.
Right. As a wrestling fan in general, yeah, what you're talking about, that sounds great on paper. Buddy Murphy would definitely kill it over there, and would probably help out in some way. ROH, bring more eyes to the product. I know Maria Kanellis is trying to do that right now with the women's division. I think she's doing a fairly good job. But here's the thing: I feel like with Impact, it's kind of like the same thing. Like I feel like Impact has been getting better over the years.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say. But still, they're treated like the redheaded stepchild. I think ROH actually gets more respect than Impact.
Well, the issue with Impact, and I said this from the very beginning, I don't like their deal with AEW because I feel like it's very one-sided. You make this agreement with this other promotion, and at first it was cool because Private Party and Matt Hardy showed up on Impact, and Gallows and Anderson showed up on Dynamite. But since then, it's been Gallows and Anderson every week on AEW. They're outside of Kenny Omega. You get no AEW guy on Impact. And then, you get this guy from the other company. He comes in and wins your world title. And even during that match, you had guys who were on the Impact roster around the ring. Nobody tried to interfere and stop this guy.
Yeah.
So
Makes no sense.
I also found weird. I feel like Impact poured themselves out just so that they could get their name on TNT to try to get people to watch their product.
That's exactly what it seems. And another thing that's crazy to me is speaking of that, crossover or the forbidden door being open, whatever you want to call it. Britt Baker has actually begged for a match with Deonna Purrazzo, and still has not been granted.
I would like to see that match.
That match would be fire.
And see, that's the other thing about all these cross promotional deals I don't understand. For months, we saw the NWA Women's Championship on Dynamite.
Right.
But Impact and AEW, they're working together, but they don't clash like that. So
yeah, but then again, we don't know what the agreement is. That's
also true. That's also true, especially because I think New Japan has been the most flexible. They've sent guys to Impact, they've sent guys to AEW. Like they're all over the place.
New Japan's a different beast. I feel like all these promotions, WWE included, are dying to work with New Japan. New Japan's like that hot, attractive promotion. It's kind of like aloof, just like, everyone wants a piece of it. But it's really in New Japan's court as far as like which promotion they want to play with.
Yeah. And I think because New Japan is the biggest game in that market, they have their pick of the crop. But I think it's cool on their part. They sent Finjuice to Impact. They sent what was the guy that wrestled? I forget. He wrestled Eddie Edwards. His name is Sojima or Kojima or something like that.
I'm really bad with the names over there.
Yeah, but he wrestled a match at Impact. They had Leo Rush make that appearance at Double or Nothing. So, and of course, who can forget Yuji Nagata and Jon Moxley's match for a New Japan title,
right,
on Dynamite. So they're
AEW they're the biggest winners here of all the promotions right now because they are playing nice, but also a little bit to their advantage with all these different promotions right now. So it's working out well. Buddy Murphy, honestly, I thought would be actually a pretty good fit for AEW. I see what you mean. I think it'll be you'll hear the floodgate of comments. Oh, another WWE guy, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think Buddy Murphy could do some great work over there. Impact, obviously, I mean, he'd do fine over there, especially in that X division. I think he could tear it up. I mean, the X division, I think, is probably the best part about Impact, a pure wrestling base.
Yep, I agree.
Buddy Murphy, I think he's one of those guys who's an under the radar gem. If you play fantasy football at all, this is a sleeper pick right here as far as the free agents that are out there.
Yeah. And before you move on to your next point, if you look at that AEW roster, everybody that's a star there, most of them, with the exception of maybe Orange Cassidy, I believe all of them were built up as stars in other places.
Right.
Jericho, Moxley, who else off the top of my head? The Young Bucks, Cody. So I know for a fact if Buddy Murphy goes there, there's going to be a lot of comments in somebody's Facebook post.
Just let it be, though. I mean, like, let's see how it plays out. Yeah, it's just.
See, but I liken it to like real life. Like AEW is like a startup company. Eventually, you're going to need to bring in employees who have worked from other places.
Thank you. That's exactly what I've been saying that over and over again. They are a startup company. Technically, that is true.
Yeah, no company Amazon, Microsoft, wherever, Apple, nobody is gonna have the same employees 10 years from the first day of operations. You're gonna hire people from other places who have experience.
Right. And if anything, that's going to help, especially taking people from WWE who know the game very, very well, and bring them to an AEW locker room where you do have a mixed match of like different people from all across the world, have different levels of experience, a lot of indie talent over there who've never really worked a big stage before. And especially they had like only one real year experience because of the fact of COVID.
Yep. The pandemic. Yep.
So like going on tour and everything, like you have these guys who are going to help these younger guys and girls, develop and how to have hone the craft a little bit more, and also give them longevity, because a lot of these indie guys, they do stuff right now, shake your head like, man, they are not going to last 5 years.
Yeah, but and then like you said, and especially because it's a televised product, a lot of these guys were indie guys. You tell them, all right, 6 minutes, they end up going 9.5 and no repercussions. So,
right.
Guys in WWE, Vince is very strict on that time. So, that it's like sports. Unless you like are under the learning tree of somebody who's been seasoned, you're not going to get it. So that's how I
exactly. Listen, some of the best teams out there, they're a mix and match of vets and young studs. If you had nothing but young players all across the board, yeah, it might seem sexy. You might see some plays in the highlights there, but you're not going to get very far. You need that mix. And I think AEW, I think they get it. I think they hear the criticisms, of course, but they're staying focused on their goal and their journey, and kudos to them. Moving on, though, speaking of veterans, Goldberg is going to be making his return to WWE. It's being reported that Bobby Lashley will be defending his WWE Championship against the returning legend at SummerSlam. There were rumors that we're going to get Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley for SummerSlam this year, but looks like that's going to be a bust. Is this a suitable plan B? I feel like anytime they don't get Brock Lesnar, they go to Goldberg right away. So does this make up for that?
The difference between, and I was a huge Goldberg fan as a kid, by the way, so this is hard.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah, I was. The difference between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. Brock Lesnar is still in the shape that he can go and take a massive amount of bumps in a match if needed. Goldberg, he takes maybe one bad bump, or you hit him with some type of object, and you may never see him again. So
the match with Undertaker,
even though Goldberg
I'm sorry, the Goldberg match with Undertaker still sticks in the back of my head. And if you're a wrestler, if you're going to that match with Goldberg, that's got to be in the back of your head too.
Yeah, especially because he struggled to do his signature maneuver.
Right.
So I would rather see Brock Lesnar, especially Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's a physical guy. I would hate to,
And how long has Bobby Lashley been calling for this match? He's been hyping up, and now Bobby Lashley is probably the best he's ever been in his whole career in professional wrestling. And like, this is a marquee match, man. Put them in an octagon or something. Like, let these guys go.
Bellator versus UFC alumni. But I just feel like Goldberg, like if you're going to bring Goldberg in, it shouldn't be in a world title match. Goldberg doesn't need a world title. Even when he had that win over Bray Wyatt when he was the Fiend, I said, this doesn't need to happen. Like, it does nothing for anybody. Maybe for like that. See what I think they're going to? They're trying to get that fan back who watched during the Monday Night Wars, who doesn't watch anymore. And, you know, you go to the office, and one guy who happens to watch wrestling says to the other guy in the lunchroom, hey, you're Goldberg's the champion again? Goldberg? The same guy that beat Hogan? Yeah, that Goldberg. All right, I'll watch. Now I got to watch Raw next week. I think that's what they're going for, but.
I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You're actually the first Goldberg fan I've ever spoke to in my life.
Really?
For real.
Wow.
So I have to ask you, why?
Why?
No, for real though. Like, you know, what is the attraction for Goldberg for you? And I'm not criticizing.
No. So to answer the question, when Goldberg first came through 97, so I was 6 years old. You know, as a little kid, you know, you see a guy who comes in here.
You're a lot younger than me then.
Oh yeah, I'm only 30. So, as a 6-year-old kid sitting there watching the guy, first off, you know, he inhaled that smoke in every entrance. Like, to me, he was just a badass. He inhales smoke, he spits, he snorts, the pyro goes off.
Granted, the entrance is fucking awesome, even to this day. Right. I will agree with you in that.
Right. The entrance is part of the allure. Just like we know Ultimate Warrior was never the greatest worker, but the whole presentation, as a kid, you're like, whoa, I want to be like that guy. So. You're
right. I feel like Goldberg is kind of like the modern day Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. And then as a kid, you know, the guy has the entrance. By the time the entrance is over, he did 2 moves in 10 seconds and the match is done. And as a kid, you're like, whoa, this guy is awesome. Like, he could, and then he won every match for like a year and a half. So as a kid, I'm just like, yo, this guy is like the hottest thing to ever come down the pike. So that's what, and as a kid, I wanted to be Goldberg because I wanted to feel invincible because that's basically what he was. And even when he lost, he didn't lose clean. So, you know.
Okay, so now fast forward as an adult.
As an adult, I don't get as excited about Goldberg, but the little kid in me still jumps up and down every time Goldberg gets advertised.
So, Alfonz Stevens.
Yes, sir.
Say you're that guy who's no longer a wrestling fan. You're in the break room, and someone says to you, hey, man, you're Goldberg won the title. Would you watch?
I would watch just to see what the presentation is.
Got it. Okay, respect. That's a good answer.
Yeah, because think about it. You're somebody who watched this stuff as a kid, as a teenager, and your last memory of the guy is him in his prime. And now 20 years later, you go back, oh, let me see how he looks.
But at the same time, okay, we've seen this already. This is not like Goldberg's first match back in so long. You know, the people that have heard this in the break room before, this example you use, you know, they probably watched Goldberg versus Undertaker. For sure they watched that.
Well, yeah, that's true. If you watch that, oh, my God, I hate thinking about it.
And you'll probably turn that off right away. Like, dude, what the fuck did I just watch? I just watched Undertaker almost get paralyzed. You probably watch Goldberg versus Fiend. You probably watch Goldberg versus Kevin Owens. You probably watch Goldberg versus insert person here. Like, you've seen this already.
Yeah.
And it really, I feel like Goldberg really hasn't done much to bring back that casual fan that you talked about because they've already seen it before and they're just like, huh, okay. Like, were you really wowed from any of his matches back from his latest run? Hey, be honest.
The very first match when he came back and he beat Brock Lesnar at that Survivor Series, the first one.
That was shocking.
That match.
That was shocking.
Yeah, because nobody expected that result. And Brock Lesnar, up until that point, the way he was presented, is a badass. So the fact that the badass got slayed handedly, I was like, oh, okay. But since then, like you said, the match with The Undertaker, I didn't like. The match with Roman Reigns, he came out there in basketball shorts for crying out loud.
Oh, my God, yes.
That's how you know somebody in wrestling's over the hill. You got to wrestle in basketball shorts or a T-shirt. They're done.
And he's come back so many times before. He came back in the Royal Rumble even. Like, yeah. It's just I feel like WWE messed up with this contract with Goldberg. They gave him too long of a contract. Obviously, they have to utilize the dates. So, of course, he's going to come back one of the major shows, either SummerSlam. If it wasn't going to be SummerSlam, it was going to be Survivor Series. I agree with what you said before. I don't think it should be for a world championship. And we are assuming, by the way, it's going to be for a world championship because the plan, they're saying plan as of now, right? So, that, of course, as we all know in wrestling, what does they always say in the bottom of the card?
Card subject to change.
Exactly.
But I feel like a guy with Goldberg, you bring him back as one of those guys, like he's the surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, but you don't bring him back for a marquee match.
No, and he doesn't need it. And honestly, I don't think anyone really wants to see this match. I would be surprised if people were like, yes, Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg, dream match.
Maybe in the video game.
Maybe, if that. But Alfonz Stevens, that's all I have today for the news. Moving on to TV Takedown. Let's do this.
It's time for this week's TV Takedown.
All right, my man. Since you were the guest, I'm so used to going first on this, but you know, I'm gonna hand it off to you, Alfonz. What was your TV takedown of the week?
The fact that the Thunderdome is no more. It's so difficult to watch wrestling when you have all those screens of faces in the crowd.
And that noise. I felt like I was listening to the Vuvuzelas at the soccer game.
Yeah.
Like and a buzzing joint.
Like, and this is my thing about this pandemic era of wrestling. Of course, AEW, I feel, handled it the best. Putting the guys from Dark in the crowd, but I feel like if you're going to have an empty arena, you don't need to pipe in any type of noise. That's the one knock I give Impact as well. They pipe in crowd noise when nobody's there.
Hey, question.
Yes.
Do you feel like on SmackDown tonight that they pumped in some noise?
I don't think so. I think what the reaction Edge got at the top of the show was genuine.
Oh, I felt that was genuine too. But I'm talking about specifically, I was noticing some things when Otis was facing Cesaro.
Uh-huh.
I saw a dead crowd. But I was hearing noise. Like you see in the first row, like in the first few rows, like arms folded, bored faces, but you hear, yeah, woo!
I gotta take a look back at that, but I don't think because also it's harder to pipe in crowd noise when the show is live and you have people there. So
this is not something WWE is like. It's not a new thing for them.
Right. Well, I know they pump in the crowd noise. They're infamous for that for Cena and Roman when they were trying to push them as baby faces. But I don't know. I didn't pick up on it. I gotta go watch that back now.
But I do have to agree with you. The fans. I feel like if there's any piped in noise, it wasn't for a whole lot of segments. I feel like for the most part, like you heard it live. Towards the end, you saw the fans getting riled up for Cesaro's swing. Of course, I mean that's freaking awesome to see. It was cool to see the whole shot because you remember back in the day, well, not back in the day, but before the pandemic, like like SmackDown not filling the crowd. You see these like weird angles of of like rows of empty chairs and whatnot. You see like this whole arena definitely sold out.
Full, yeah, because and I also said it when these companies return to touring. They're going to be sold out because people got to scratch that wrestling itch.
Oh,
you haven't been able to go to a live show in over a year and a half. So like my situation, for example, I was supposed to go to AEW Blood and Guts in Prudential in Jersey.
Oh no shit!
And 2 weeks and the world shut down literally 2 weeks before that show. So I've been like sitting here just like, oh man, when am I going to go to another show? I understand why everybody would rush to go back to the first show that's available.
It was really cool to see, man. And I was very curious to see how certain stars were going to treat it. Like Roman Reigns, when his music hit, I was like, all right, here we go. And you kind of heard some mixed reactions at first. I was very curious about that because I thought, because Roman Reigns has been killing it.
Yeah.
I thought fans were going to cheer.
You know what it is, why he gets that mixed reaction is because it's like muscle memory. Right? Even though he's had this character since the pandemic, since he came back, but everybody's last memory of him when they last went to a live event, he was a completely different character. So
Totally.
Automatically, when you sit down in that seat in that arena, despite everything that you've seen on TV for the last year, you automatically just shift back to, oh, well, the last time I was in an arena, this, and this was like this. So
good point. But credit to Roman Reigns, because those mixed reactions, the cheers some of the cheers you heard in the beginning, everyone was booing towards the end. Like, he was getting that heel. He was doing such a good job. You felt it. You felt it with all the wrestlers. You felt it all across the board from the fans, the wrestlers, even in commentary. I was following on Twitter. People were like, "This is the best Michael Cole's done in years." Well, no shit. Like, everyone is jacked up from that crowd, from that live reaction. You feed off that energy as performers ourselves here. Like, as a commentator, like I've been at sold out shows at BWF. Like, you feel that energy. You get hopped up on it. You react to it. Everyone does. Yeah. Everyone does. And it feels special, and it resonates through the screen. And it was awesome to see, man.
Yeah, and it actually felt weird these last couple of weeks, because obviously AEW's had a crowd, Ring of Honor on their pay-per-view just had a crowd, and now SmackDown had a crowd tonight. So it's been kind of odd lately watching wrestling with fans in attendance. Like, right. It just doesn't. Now the old normal doesn't feel normal anymore. Exactly.
And you brought up a good point. Other promotions have had fans back, and it's been great to see. Something just was different about SmackDown, but whether it was just the hype of building it up, or I don't know what it was, but it just felt that much more special seeing it in WWE.
Well, they were running commercials for the last 3 weeks. I don't know if you ever saw them, but they even during the MLB All-Star game on Tuesday, they had a spot in the middle of the game saying, "Yeah, this Friday night on SmackDown, the fans are back." I've never for the life of me ever heard of a wrestling show promoting that, yes, we will have fans. So that was kind of odd too.
But at the same time, I mean, you think of the times lately.
Yeah.
You get it. And I have to say, by the way, amazing package in the beginning. Like,
I agree.
It was a great package, highlighting the fans, highlighting the different reactions, the best reactions over the years. WWE always, like, honestly, they really get the creme de la crop for years as far as like production people putting this shit together.
Yeah, their video packages are A1. Yep.
Like no one. AEW can try all they want. It's going to be years, probably decades before they get to that level.
They don't have enough footage to say, well, when fans were here.
No, it just the music and everything, the cuts, it works so well. And then of course that pop in the beginning of Vince McMahon. Amazing.
And that actually topped the pop from WrestleMania when he opened WrestleMania night one.
Of course. And it probably, how many people were at that? There was probably more people like that, even though it was like a full crowd.
I think WrestleMania each night was 20,000 people.
And this was like 14,000 tonight.
About 14,000, yeah.
But this is more condensed.
This is more condensed. Like they were in a football. Yeah.
Yeah, they were spread out. I noticed too, a little slight difference. Like you heard more pop from the ring.
Yeah,
I feel like they had the mics there going full force under that ring. It just all felt like spectacular. It felt like wrestling.
No, they upped their production value for the first show back with the fans. They even changed the set, which I thought was cool. So
totally. So props to SmackDown. I feel like that was my takedown of the week as well. It was just not to say like there were, wrestling was bad this past week, but this just felt different. It felt special. It felt like, the last year and a half, were there some good moments? Sure. But for the most part, it was just like, man, this feels like a chore, like watching WWE for the most part. And, really, I mean, the fans make a huge difference. They really do.
Yeah. Like I said, you and I have both worked BWF shows where there was hardly anybody in the crowd. And we worked BWF shows where there was not a single seat, standing room only. And the difference is noticeable.
Totally noticeable. Dude, I'll never. One of my favorite reactions live from that show is when Vicious Vicky won the BWF World Women's Championship.
Ooh, talk about heat.
Oh my Lord, dude! She took the mic, cut a promo, could hardly understand what she was saying
because the crowd was so hot.
Exactly, not because like she was holding the mic weird or whatever. the crowd was just so hot. So hot. She got nuclear heat. It was amazing. I was so happy for her. In only wrestling can you say that. She was getting booed out of the arena. I was so happy for her.
Well, you think that's rough. I remember when that very first cruiserweight title match when Brother Greatness won it in the tournament against Mandis. The crowd was so loud, I couldn't even hear myself count. That's how bad it was. But that's good. That's something that you want. But it just made my job tougher. But I knew we were having something special that night. I'll never forget that night. But
oh, totally.
The crowd can make or break a show. And even if you have a crowd that's completely sold out, if they're not invested in what's going on in the ring and they're just sitting there just quiet, you might as well wrestle in front of nobody. So,
I feel like that's worse than wrestling in front of no one. I really do.
Because you have all these eyes watching you and they're not reacting to anything, which I don't know how I don't know how these guys in Japan, because I've seen tapes of stuff that goes on in Japan and those guys don't clap until the match is over. So I can't imagine.
It's so weird. That's gonna be so weird. But that's the culture there. So
that's the culture there. So you get used to it.
You know, I feel like since we both had someone take that, I feel like I should just go over some other things here. Do you have other moments you want to talk about?
Yeah, actually. Again, I know we said that Ring of Honor, not a lot of people get to watch Ring of Honor, so if you can check it out, you should. Their main event of last week's show was just absolutely tremendous. It was La Facione Ingobernable. That's Dragon Lee and Kenny King. They wrestled Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham from the Foundation, and Brody King and Tony Deppen from Violence Unlimited in a 3-way tag. And that match was complete fire.
Now, for those that don't watch ROH, and I'm aware of what ROH does. I have not watched it live. Where can you watch ROH? So what they do on their website,
They keep it up for a week. They put the newest episode up for free, so you can watch it. They usually air on Fridays, so the channel is different depending on what neighborhood you live in, which I think is like super crazy. Like they're bringing syndication back, right. But you can always go on their website and they actually advertise on the front page. Watch latest TV episode here. So they actually just did a cinematic match the week before.
Oh no way!
Yeah, the Briscoe brothers fought each other on their farm.
Oh no shit! Okay.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Okay. Yeah, and Ring of Honor, and I found it funny because I was like, Ring of Honor cinematic match, like where does that happen?
So what? Okay, cinematic matches could. I mean, WWE obviously did it very well because they have the production value, but how is ROH with the production value for that?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, and honestly, and I've never been a fan of cinematic matches. I'll admit, like I didn't enjoy the Boneyard match, even though everybody raved about it.
Wow, okay.
Because the thing with me is, if I turn on wrestling, I want to sit down and see wrestling. I don't want to see like the Boneyard match was great because it was something movie quality. Yeah. But if I want to watch a movie, I'll go and turn HBO on. Like that's my opinion. But I sat down and I did not expect to like this match at all. But the difference between this match and all the other matches, like if you look at the Boneyard match or even what Impact did with Total Deletion and all this other stuff, like you get commentary over the matches, you get spooky music and all these different false lightning and all this other type of stuff. Everything in that match that the Briscoes had against each other, everything felt real. Like they fought on a farm. There was no commentary over the match. There was no weird music in the background. Nothing was out of place. It wasn't like the Stadium Stampede match from AEW where, they say and do things that are tongue in cheek and like they wink and break the fourth wall. Like none of that occurred. Like they're fighting on a farm. Everything they're hitting each other with is stuff that you would find on a farm.
Okay.
Even so much so to the part that they fight in the bed of a pickup truck. Again, things you would find in a farm. And then even the match itself, because they're trying to tell a story. For those who don't know, they were on a huge tag team losing streak to the point where they turned on each other, blaming each other for the loss. And their father said, "Well, listen, you guys are going to do what you did when you were kids and had an issue. You're going to just beat the crap out of each other until it's out of your system." And the father refereed the match.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, like heavily recommend that anybody who likes cinematic matches sit down and watch that match.
Alfonz Stevens, you just sold me. So
yeah,
thank you for that.
It's on their YouTube, so you don't even have to like track down the episode that it was on.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. So when you watch that match, shoot me a message and tell me what you thought of it. Especially because you're a Hollywood guy yourself, so I am a
Hollywood guy, and I do love some good wrestling, and I do like the Briscoe brothers. So this definitely intrigues me. So I'm definitely the full match is available on YouTube.
The full match is on their YouTube channel.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
It's only 14 minutes. So if you got 14 minutes to kill,
and easy. Nice and easy. I can watch that during lunch.
Yep.
All right. So I have some takedown myself I want to talk about here real fast. First off, with Impact, I have to say, I enjoyed Impact going here with this, with Tennille Dashwood attacking Matt Cardona.
I heard about that, and he's supposed to be getting a mystery partner for Slammiversary.
Chelsea Green. It's got to be Chelsea Green.
Even though she's in Ring of Honor?
Is she actually signed? I heard something about this, that she doesn't actually have a signed contract with him, that they have a working agreement with each other.
So it could be.
Right? So it could be, especially with all these promotions working with each other and having some sort of agreement, if you will. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised. I think it actually logistically it makes sense, because why? I mean, I guess everyone knows that Tennille Dashwood did date Matt Cardona. Were they engaged? I forget.
I have no clue. I know he's engaged to Chelsea Green now, but
yeah, I know he's engaged. Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that Impact weren't afraid to go there. And I feel like Impact, they do a good job as far as I feel like they keep tabs as far as what's going on, what's trending, where people talk about on Twitter, what's going on in dirt sheets. And they bring this shit up. They give little Easter eggs to fans, if you will. And I feel like there's another good moment here with that. They use this. They went there, obviously. I would think at least, and they talked to Tennille and Matt, like, hey, yeah, you guys cool with this? Is what we're thinking of doing, or maybe they pitched them themselves. I have no idea. Do you think like WWE, like in AEW? I mean, I feel like AEW kind of does it. I feel like WWE doesn't really go there that much. Do you think like they should?
They're creative. Ever since we the world got introduced to Kenice Mobley, I don't think their writers go there at all.
No, like. Listen, we talk about creative a lot here on this show. It just boggles my mind when, like, I feel like the easiest way to go, like, fans are smarter than ever right now,
especially with the internet. Yeah, and all you got to do is Google something, and you'll find out a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. So just incorporate this shit in the storyline. It's like, especially you have them utilize their social media a little bit more, not necessarily in like the whole cheesy way, but like like just make it more real based. You know? Instead of this, I'm going to fight for the championship. I'm going to fight for the championship. It's like the same old shit all the time. It's like once in a while, that's fine. But like, back in the Attitude Era, there's a little bit more to it. There's a little bit more spice to it than just for the championship or just for the gold or, hey, you screwed me over. Like, there was something there at least. And everyone had a storyline. Everyone has their own story. I mean, look at the documentaries they produce for WWE all the time. Even Liv Morgan had one. Utilize this stuff, man. It just boggles my mind. Impact's doing it. They're doing a very good job with it. It's just like WWE, they have the biggest budget of all of wrestling, and they just waste it on these, like the writer that you just mentioned before.
Yeah, and it's crazy how I've never understood. And when I heard this, I kind of wasn't surprised, but I was surprised because I'm like, how do you apply for and get a job that you have no experience or qualification to have? Like that gave me inspiration to try to be a mechanic the next day, but I didn't follow through with
it. Some other things of note that I saw, AEW had a very good show, I have to say. But the one thing that stood out to me was Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes, that spot there. Passionate promo by Cody Rhodes, first off. I don't know if you saw it.
He's a really good promo. He does a really good job of bringing passion across in his promo.
All the time. Like the man, I think acting has helped him with this. So like, how to emotion from the fans. And especially like, he knows how to win a crowd, even when the cool thing to do is to hate him. And he knows that. He kind of brought that up too. And great storytelling by Black. And I love how they addressed the crowd reaction from last week. Malachi Black obviously, got the huge pop against Cody, brought it up saying like, hey man, like, you're that horse got to put out, man. Everyone loved me. Everyone loved it when I kicked Arn and you in the face. Like, bringing that up, man. Like, I feel like, again, not to hone in WWE here, but I feel like they would have ignored that reaction. They would have ignored it and tried to press forward with their story here. I think it's cool. You have to use the fans here. You have to use their reaction, especially since now they're back. They're a huge component of it. So you just have to like mend your story along with it. Utilize that shit, man.
Yeah, and to your point, yeah, WWE has a great track record of ignoring the fans. The fans will boo something and they'll still trot it out the next week as if they cheered for it. So
as if it never happened. Yeah.
And I feel like because we're in a different era of wrestling, the modern fan nowadays, if you kick an old disabled man like Arn Anderson in the face, that's gonna get you a pop. That's not gonna get you booed.
No, it's fucking wild, dude. And Malachi Black, I feel like he's doing like a similar character as he was with Aleister Black in WWE. Even like the smoke and the black background.
Well, if you notice the eye that Buddy Murphy gouged out when they had that whole storyline, that eye, he brought the eye with him.
Right.
So
I don't know whose call that is, by the way, but it's working. I mean, it's continuity, which is something that's severely lacking. There's something we've really never seen before: continuity from like one promotion to another.
To another, yeah.
I think the closest thing we've had to that was like when Scott Hall went to WCW for the first time was like AAO.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I can't think of anybody who brought one storyline from one company over to another. I can't think of it.
No, and I don't know whose call that was. I don't know if it was Black's call or if that was from AEW management, but fantastic move right there with that. And listen, again, I really have to give props to Cody Rhodes. I don't understand the hate with him, but like
you know what it is? A lot of people that I've heard, they say that he has Triple H syndrome. That's the common knock on him. He has a hand in the booking and he's all over the TV. He's not putting anybody over, like, But
I feel like he does.
I feel, and this is just my opinion.
Go for it.
When they had this whole storyline with Anthony Ogogo on the pay-per-view match, Ogogo should have beaten him. The kid. This is the kid's first high-profile match. Before that match, he only had 2 or 3 televised matches before then. Should have let him get the win. Cody doesn't benefit by beating him. And think about it. Look at the story. You're taking your deceased father, who everybody loved. You're taking his moniker for that one night. You're defending America on top of it. If he would have lost, Ogogo would have got so much heat, he probably would have had to have a security escort to go home.
But at the same time, though, I mean, Cody can't lose every match. Cody can't lose every match, especially to a young wrestler, because then he loses that spot to give to another guy. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true too. But I feel like the last time I saw Cody lose was Darby Allin when he lost the TNT title. I can't recall any match that Cody has lost since then.
But, again, as I was trying to mention before, like, the praise I want to give Cody is he knows those criticisms. He's obviously, he's very well read about, like, what's being said about AEW with his product, about him in general on Twitter. And he brings it up. And yet he still gets a pop from the fans. So you gotta give him credit where credit's due. Like, the dude knows what he's doing. He's very good psychologically. Well, on par with Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah, and to Cody and to his family's credit, it runs in the family because
totally.
His father was the booker of WCW for so long before the Monday Night War era. So even back from when they were the NWA. So I mean, if anybody would know how what's good for wrestling television, it would be somebody whose last name was Rhodes.
And the last point I want to make here, or last TV takedown moment I want to talk about, gotta talk about it, man. Karrion Kross and Samoa Joe. First off,
I actually did see that. Oh boy, I have mixed feelings on that. By the way,
first off, the match with him and Gargano was well done. I feel like Kross looked like a beast in that match. Gargano definitely took a beating, especially towards the end there. But my thoughts going into this, the way the build was happening was I actually thought Samoa Joe was going to screw Karrion Kross over, and Johnny Gargano was going to be the new NXT World Heavyweight Champion. That's what I thought. So I was actually a bit surprised that Kross won. I did not expect Kross to just out of nowhere choke out Samoa Joe. That was the last thing I thought was going to happen. Fucking cool to see that, and that's how the show goes off the air. Obviously, some shit's going to go down. We're going to see Kross versus Joe. I'm here for it. What do you think? You said you have mixed thoughts.
Well, I have mixed thoughts because and forgive me for reading dirt sheets, but I read in dirt sheets that WWE Medical won't clear Joe because he's still having issues from those concussions.
How though? He's still all right. So Samoa Joe, right? I hear these reports as well. But anytime you hear like someone's not cleared, like Edge or Paige, I'm talking about Edge, like from before, or Dana Bryan at one point, they literally didn't do anything. They didn't take a bump. They didn't do any moves at all, even if a submission move. They didn't do anything. They were untouchable. The most they did was like someone put like Seth Rollins put his hand on Edge's head or whatever, and it was like acting like he was going to hit him, and we all knew that was never going to happen. Joe put someone in I'm sorry, blanking on submission hold.
Coquina clutch.
The Coquina clutch. Thank you. He put Adam Cole in that a couple of weeks back. He took Kross's finisher this past week. He's doing pretty much a lot for someone that's not medically cleared.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Now, if the reports are true and he's not medically cleared, then because the whole storyline, he can't touch anybody unless he's physically provoked. He's
right.
not allowed to be a competitor. So I don't know how this works in far because like what's the payoff? Because in wrestling everything has to have a blow off. So does he choke him out and we just forget about it the next week, or does Joe come back and want a match? Which if he's not medically cleared can't happen. So I that's why I have mixed feelings. If I didn't read that report, then I would be like, oh yeah, like you, yeah, I want to see Joe versus Kross. But if they're not going to let him wrestle.
You mean do you really think? Do you think? And this could be the case. I'm not saying that you're wrong here. Is it going to be another situation of like Kevin Nash versus CM Punk? We just don't see it happen. You see all this build and it just doesn't happen because Nash was never medically cleared.
I hope not. And I'm the type of person when I watch my wrestling, like if you're going to have two characters interact, there has to be some, like I said, there has to be some type of resolution. So even if a match doesn't happen, like let Joe come back and, cost him the title or something. But I mean, I would preferably want to see a match if Joe can go, but
if Joe can go, Joe versus Kross would be phenomenal. The story itself is already writing itself right now. Those two in the ring would be fantastic. And also, it would be fucking great to be Samoa Joe back in the ring again.
Yep. He hasn't wrestled since pre-pandemic.
Right.
So,
if anyone's going to send Kross packing to the main roster, that's a weird way to put it. Like, hey, man, hit the bricks. You're going to go to the main roster now. If anyone's going to dethrone Karrion Kross, and then he gets to go to the main roster afterwards, what better person than Samoa Joe? Yeah,
that and everybody's saying, oh well, Joe's taking a step down. Hey, the guy hasn't been a regular performer in how long? Like, this is like to get him back on track.
Right.
So yeah, I have no issues. I have no issues with that move, especially because Karrion Kross, how many weeks in a row was working dark matches before TV tapings? So
it's happening soon. Karrion Kross is going to go to the main roster some point soon. And probably not as NXT champion. So who's going to take him down? If not Samoa Joe at this point. I really find it hard to believe that he's not medically cleared. He's done a lot for someone that's not cleared. I'm wondering right now if like WWE is just leaking some stuff as like well,
what he's done so far, I mean, he put the Coquina clutch on Adam Cole. That didn't require a bump. He got choked out on Tuesday. That didn't require him to bump.
But again, have you seen anyone that's not medically cleared do anything at all, like even remotely near that?
This is a long time ago, but I don't know if you remember Shawn Michaels when he used to throw super kicks every time he used to appear as the commissioner back in the day when he wasn't medically cleared. So
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But that's also before the day when concussions were taken seriously.
Well, he had a back injury, so
Yeah, back injury, but like, oh yeah,
No,
yeah,
but I get
you. I mean, you have a good point there with that. That was the back injury. That wasn't concussions. I feel like he was still working with concussions so at one point, but you're right. That particular moment you're talking about was a back injury. Excuse me. I don't know, man. I mean, you just shut me up there with that. That's a good point.
And then also with today and them being so precautious with CTE and all this stuff, I don't think they would let any, like back in the day, guys used to take chair shots to the head like it was nothing. So
right.
I'm pretty sure everybody in the business back then wrestled with concussions. But now that we know what we know about head injuries and concussions, there's no way they let him even bump with a chance of,
But even still with that, then do you think they would have let him just do any of this right now? Because any which way, any of this stuff could have gone wrong. Look, like Seth Rollins tweaked his knee from a coquina clutch. Like anything could go wrong in any of these spots.
Well, that's true too, but we've seen
that?
But we've seen guys do stuff like even I know this is a joke, but even like when Ted DiBiase and Gerald Briscoe both won the 24/7 title on Raw that night, like like those are old geriatric guys and still like did something a little bit. So
fair enough.
Or you got Arn Anderson in AEW taking a bump, so they can do the very minimum.
But then I feel like it just goes back to the question you asked: what's the payoff? Why do this? Why have this involved? Like, why build this up if they're not going to face each other? Like
right.
that's what doesn't make sense. Then.
The only thing I could think of is Joe in his enforcer role. The next title match that Kross has, or the next big match at the next takeover, he comes out and screws him. That's the only thing I can think of.
But at the same time, we go back. Then we're just going back and forth right with this. But I'll say this though: with when William Regal said, "You're the enforcer," if provoked.
Well, yeah, that's true.
If provoked,
but remember that opening promo, he specifically said, "You are not allowed to be a competitor." So what match can you have?
Unless you're provoked.
Well, that's true.
Unless you're provoked. Karrion Kross, clearly, clear as day, choked him out, provoked him. And maybe it's not going to be for the NXT World Championship. Maybe it's an unsanctioned match. But it's going to be something. It's going to be something. We shall see. But that's all I have for TV Takedown. Time for some go-home thoughts. All right. Alfonz, I have to thank you for coming on the show. I had a lot of fun with you, man. It's been a long time coming, bro. Do you have any go-home thoughts for us?
As far as wrestling, life, or just anything on my mind?
Anything you want, my man. This is your time now. Anything you want to promote, even?
Well, any now that the world is starting to come back to normal, if I could give any wisdom, I say let's start enjoying things more and not having as much drama and negative energy and bad vibes. Like nobody knew when the world would open back up. Nobody anticipated the world shutting down to begin with, and this whole pandemic has felt like one just awful dream that I have yet to wake up from. And when things get in full swing, like, SmackDown will be in the Garden in 2 months. AEW.
Saw that. Excited for it.
Yep. AEW will be in Queens in 2 months. So
did you get your ticket?
I actually did. I'm in section 312. So
a friend of mine was supposed to get tickets for us. I'm waiting on word for that right now. Is this sold out? It's not sold out.
I think they are, because the last time I checked Ticketmaster, they have tickets up, but they're resale tickets, and Scalper City.
The fuck up! I better have gotten tickets for this thing. Okay.
But yeah, I just want everybody to enjoy. Don't take anything for granted. Enjoy life while we're here, and let's just all have a good time.
Yo, I am with you. Virtual hugs here for that, man. Like
absolutely,
totally with that. I always try to think with a positive mindset. I know the pandemic, I've talked about it before in the very beginning, fucked me up mentally, spiritually, all the way around, man. I cried in a shower. That's how bad it got. Don't recommend that for anyone. But at a certain point though, I just started getting back to myself, and I had no choice. You have to move on. You have to live on. And you're right. I mean, like, dude, I remember the very last day, I think it was March 11th or whatever, before the world shut down. I was at a bar, hanging out with a friend, having drinks, catching up. Next thing you know, boom, that's it. World over. Like, you just don't know. And you just can't take shit for granted, man. Like I'm telling everyone, like, listen, you ask me to hang out, I'm not saying no anymore unless I'm booked.
Yeah.
Unless I'm booked. I have no excuses. I just want to go out and see everyone.
Yeah, but I've also taken I used to be a guy, like, you know, when not booked, if I didn't have anything to do, I'd stay home. But now, just like you, if somebody said, "Yo, Alfonz, let's hang out," yeah, I would do so, because, especially in my situation, like, you know, tomorrow is not guaranteed, so
right,
you know, I'm here for a good time now, so.
Exactly. Cut the BS, cut the drama, man. Like, let's just have just like a love fest. Summer of love, baby. Summer of love.
Yeah, that is true.
Much love, my man. Nothing but respect. One thing I want to say, I understand you're going to be donning the referee shirt once again at basketball for Shane Fair. So I'm excited to hear about that. Respect.
Yes, absolutely. So Shane Fair asked me to if I can ref, and I'm like, ref? What do you mean ref? And he goes, I got a basketball game, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then once he said it was for charity, I was like, all right, I'm in. I never, and especially children's charity, Miracle League of Mercer out in New Jersey. I never say no to the kids. So
no, I think it's an amazing thing that he's doing. I had him on the show before, where I interviewed him a couple weeks back talking about this. Great cause, great human being, and I'm glad so many people are involved. It's going to be a great show. Unfortunately, I can't be there live to see it. But man, I'm just hyped for it all around. But yeah, dude, it's going to be great to see you back in a referee shirt, even if it's for basketball. Hopefully, it's a sign for things.
Thank you.
We shall see. Knock on wood. And what's another thing to promote? Oh yes, AJ Pan apparently is going to be hosting Shot of Wrestling's watch party for SummerSlam at Hooters. That was announced today by Jimmy J. I am going to be there.
That's going to be out in Fresh Meadows, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the location. I'm definitely going there, man. I love Hooters. It's definitely going to be a cheat day for me. I'm excited for SummerSlam. Excited to see people, even if it's going to be AJ Pan.
Makes tomorrow all the more interesting.
Makes my blood boil so much, my God. But anyway, are you going to go?
I might just slide through.
All right. Okay.
I might be there. And last thing before that, I'll plug August 7th, IWA. Save the World. It's going to be the world title match, TJ Marconi versus Anthony Gangone, which
is that going to be another title that TJ Marconi wins?
Well, he's defending all four.
Oh, he's defending.
Belts.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's defending all four of his belts against Gangone. So that should be an interesting matchup.
Those two have a lot of history. They know each other very well, so it should be a very good match there. So have fun calling that, my man. I'll be jealous. Hopefully one day down the line, we'll be doing some commentary together.
Would love to.
That would be fantastical. Do a 3-man booth, do a 2-man booth. I don't care. But we got to make that happen some point down the road. Alfonz Stevens, where can they find you on social media?
So Twitter and Instagram is the same handle. It's ref_Al_Stevens with a V, not a PH.
Boom, there you go. And you can find me at yourfavoriteactor.com. Soon to be a new page on there. Going to have Shot of Wrestling stuff exclusively on Your Favorite Actor coming soon. But for Your Favorite Actor, for Alfonz Stevens, Hollywood is out. Peace.
Hey, baby, I hear the bell ringing, hip tosses and body slams. Oh, my. And maybe you seem a bit confused. Yeah, baby, but I got you pinned. Ha, 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 ha. But I don't know what to do when I see them with that golden case. They're cashing it in. Authority all in my face. What is a man to do? Good night, everybody.